Hello YouTubers, Sign543 and hi-yo. I've had a lot of people email me and ask me and leave comments wanting to know what I look like without my hat. Well, I thought it was about time to, come out and show you what I look like without my hat. Anyway, how many things can go wrong in just one day, I'd like to know. Why can't every day just be, trouble-free? Where's it written that life has to be one big old kick in the head after the other? And why doesn't Steve Buscemi get his teeth fixed? You know what? Ignore that last question. Today did not start off well at all. I pride myself on being a pretty good parent. I really do. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that sewing my son's clothes out of yarn isn't really a good way to show it, but he loves them, damn it. And pleasing him is what's most important. It's true. Okay, he doesn't love them, but he does wear them. And if he didn't, I just ground him to his room and conveniently forget to fill his water bowl again. No, that's a joke. Actually, sometimes I really do forget. Well, the bowl is white, and when light hits it wrong, you just can't tell it's empty. Except, of course, if the water sits there too long and it gets dirty, then it's easy to tell. No, I'm just kidding. It's still hard. So this morning, I tell him that he's a big boy now and he doesn't have to use his booster seat. And he was so happy and so proud and rattled his chains to show me. I just smiled, and patted his head and then put him up in his chair. And then I noticed that his little mouth was like right level with the table. Oh well, so he wasn't actually big enough yet. But what harm could it do? I quickly found out. Suddenly, he rears back and he lets out this enormous sneeze. His face went right into the edge of my Formica table. Awful, just awful, just awful. What a mess. I mean, he chipped the Formica right off the edge, and let me tell you something, that stuff is not cheap. Then he starts, screaming and holding his face and yelling, blood, the blood, the blood, blah, blah, blah. Hey, bucko, teeth will grow back. Who's gonna fix my table? Eventually, I saw how bad he'd been hurt, and I revived him after the fainting from the blood loss, and then, took him to the dentist. Okay, none of that last story actually happened, except the water bowl part. But I do have a Formica table that got chipped. My son says he didn't do it, but I still almost grounded him to his room. Instead, I just put him down in that well, and I yelled down, "It puts the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again." No, I'm kidding. The hose doesn't work anymore. Dry rot. And we were out of lotion, so I just threw down some of that Vicks Vapor Rub. I remember my mom used to slather that stuff all over my chest when I was younger and sick. Now she just says I'm older and sick. Anyway, somehow the fumes were supposed to open up your nasal passages. It worked, too. The bad part is it also singed my eyelashes, burned all the hairs out of my nose, and opened up the nasal passages of all my neighbors within a block's distance. I think I read someplace that Vicks Vapor Rub was invented during the Spanish Inquisition. That and the packaging for CDs. Have you noticed how hard it is to get into a packaged CD? I gave up, and started to use dynamite. That worked. On one side. On the other side, I used my bandsaw. Seriously though, I do love my son. And my daughter. I don't actually have a daughter, but I have to say so on this video to justify the money that the state gives me. Qualifying was no easy task either, let me tell you. When I introduced my daughter to the social worker, "Tell the nice lady hello, Nellie." The social worker said, "That looks like a mannequin." I got really nervous and just told her that, Nellie had slept wrong in the bed, and she bought it. Got a nice big fat check. Just in time too, because I was totally out of new DVDs. I'm just upset that I have to use part of that money to, feed and dress the mannequin. I have no idea what I'll do when she starts school. Faking that's gonna be sheer hell, I can tell you. Plus, she's getting a little bit too big for her britches these days. Striking poses all day long, thinking she's a model or something. And she never listens. I scream at her all day to, freaking sit down already. But she just, stares off into space. I'm thinking of letting her have a long stint in that well. See if that won't wake her up. Well, what would you do? What, the punch to the head thing? That's easy. You just stand like this, and when they're not looking, you just... So now you try it. See, you just position it like that, and you don't do it too hard, and you'll be fine. So why don't you try it?